just got done watching the Thursday night games on TNT. Sixers played the Bucks. The Lakers played the Clippers. Low key, both of them pretty good games. I was, I'm old school, so I was taking some notes along the way, and I figured we just talk about them real quick. Let me say first, shout out to the Bucks. Y'all got the win. It was a really, really good game to watch. A couple of things about the Bucks, they just really looked poised. Like, I don't have a better word to describe them, and this is even without Chris Middleton, so they're only going to get better. But I'll be honest, most of my thoughts and notes are obviously on my Sixers. I was watching the Sixers. I'll watch the Bucks sometime later when they're not playing my favorite team and pay more attention to them. But one of the first things I noticed was I really didn't like Joel Embiid's shot selection. I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt like this game and even the game against the Celtics, he's taking a lot of fadeaways. Even on his post hooks, he feels like he's fading away. Layups, he feels like he's going away from the basket instead of towards the basket. Even looking at the box score now, I thought it when I was watching the game, but I was like, he's fading away from basket, not going to get fouled, which is a big part of his game. He only shot 3 free throws tonight, and he just was 6 for 21. That's disgusting. Oh my gosh. Not only as you're looking at his box score. Part of the reason he was fading away in so many of his shots is that he was getting posted up further and further away from the basket. Sixers need to do a better job of getting him the ball in the post sooner. A lot of times he'll have position. They don't give him the ball. They take an extra second to give him the ball, and then that defender can push him further and further away from the basket. You can also make the argument, though, that, Joel, you shouldn't be allowing people to push you further away from the basket. Hold your ground till the ball gets to you, but the Sixers could and should do a better job of getting him the ball faster in the post. Speaking of doing things faster, the Sixers got to move the ball more. I saw this stat that was on TNT. They put the graphic up that James Harden has dribbled over in the Celtics game specifically. James Harden dribbled 525 times. The rest of the team dribbled 411 times. I get it, James, that it's a big part of his game. It's a big part of how he basically created his style of play, especially in Houston and stuff. But I mean, I know I said I wanted James Harden to look like himself, but I don't know what I was hoping for, I guess. James Harden has got to move the ball more. The Sixers as a whole have got to move the ball more. It's at times turns into dribble with James Harden. And in that Celtics game, and even in this game, don't get me wrong, he had good games. And the problem isn't that he's not having good games, because he is still having really, really good games. He didn't shoot the 3 ball this game that I'm looking at it, though, 1 for 7, but 13 for 24, and he gave us 31 points. The issue is if he's dribbling the ball so much, the other guys aren't getting involved. But I think the offense as a whole would benefit from more ball movement, more player movement, off-ball screens, stuff like that. Tonight just was a whole lot of sometimes James Harden dribbling, sometimes Joel getting in the post, and then occasionally Tobias Harris trying to do something, or Maxey trying to do something. It's funny because I want to say I'm not freaking out, and it'll come with some time and the team meshing, but y'all also know how I feel about Doc Rivers, so I guess I'll always be worried a little bit. All right, let's talk about this Lakers and Clippers game. This game I watched from the beginning to end. It's got 3 or 4 pages of notes. I don't think we're going to go to everything because I don't think I'm going to talk that long, but we'll see. I'm going to talk about John Wall first. He looked good, bro. Like, immediately when he got in, he gets a bucket, nice little mid-range pull-up. He hits a couple of more mid-rangers later in the game. He didn't hit a 3, but other than that, he looked good. He looked confident, and I think that's all you can really ask for him right now. It surprised me a lot that Kawhi didn't check in into the second quarter. He checked in sometime around the 6-minute mark, but he got in, and just like John Wall, scored immediately. Overall thoughts on the Clippers and the big 3, if you will. That's what I'm going to call them for right now. I think they looked okay together at times. There was a moment in the second quarter when they were in all together, but the Lakers still went on an 11-0 run. But there were times throughout the game that each of them looked good individually. I think there were some times defensively where they both looked good. I'm thinking of especially Kawhi and Paul George. It was a time when LeBron was being guarded by Paul George, hit a spin move on Paul George, and Kawhi's there for the charge. So defensively, at times, they did look good together on the court. But I think offensively, it just needs a little bit more time to mesh, because the moments where I felt that one of them, whether it be Kawhi or Paul George or John Wall, stood out, it might have just been only a pair of 2 of them on the court. One thing I know that everyone's going to go crazy with is how bad the Lakers shot. But before I even talk about the Lakers, I just want to point out that, yes, while the Lakers only made 9 threes, the Clippers also only made 9. The Clippers didn't really shoot that great this game either. It's just, I mean, let's be real, the Lakers shot so bad that the Clippers were able to still get a win. But it was a really good defensive game from both sides. But speaking of defense, before I start talking about the Lakers, my one gripe with the Clippers is, and I feel like I've been saying this for a while now, they need a backup center. It was a couple times when Zubac wasn't in, and technically Robert Covington's playing the center, where the Lakers, whether it's just LeBron James on the floor, because that now makes him the biggest dude on the court, or if Anthony Davis was on the court, the Lakers just look so much bigger than them at times. And I think that could be a problem with some other teams in the league. Look at Giannis, look at Joel, look at Jokic, look at the Timberwolves. So I'm very curious to see how the Clippers perform with teams with like real bigs. Or not even calling Anthony Davis real big. Let me take that back. I just mean bigger players than Anthony Davis. But all right, I do want to talk about the Lakers, of course. First things first, I want to talk about Anthony Davis. He took a hard fall. I want to say that was in the second or third quarter. He played for a little bit, but wasn't really moving. Played a couple of possessions, but then they got him up out of there. He had some wraps on him. They was doing some heat and pad type stuff. And he eventually did come back. He did finish that game, but even still then, he was still moving slower than he was to start that game. So I guess we're gonna have to keep an eye out on him. It just sucks that that happened to him, because when you look at it, and I don't know how many people are gonna go and actually look at the clip of the fall or whatever, or how many people are just gonna see a headline on Twitter that he may be potentially be injured. But when you look at it, he really did fall from a really high height, because he was, Kawhi was driving, he bit on the pump fake and basically almost jumped over Kawhi if Kawhi was standing still, but landed basically directly on his back after that. Let's talk about just the Lakers as a whole, because I think it all fits and goes together. I know the topic of the day is going to be about Russ. I'm recording this at 1 a.m. and I ain't even looked at no other socials because I wanted to do this real quick, but I already know the topic of the day is going to be about Russ. He finished the game 0 for 11, 0 for 6 from 3. But not just him. Everybody shot poorly on the Lakers. Patrick Beverley was 1 for 6. Lonnie Walker was 2 for 9. LeBron was 2 for 8. AD was 2 for 4. Juan Toscano Anderson was 1 for 4. And Matt Ryan was 1 for 2. And Kendrick Nunn was 0 for 4. I don't remember him being in a game long enough to go 0 for 4. My point is this when it comes to the Lakers. When I was watching this game, and this isn't even to try to bash these players of what they do on the NBA court, hear me out. When I'm watching this Lakers game, it was moments when I said to myself, yo, this is really crazy. LeBron really still at times do look like LeBron. He got that moment when Anthony Davis got the rebound and handed it off to him. He goes coast to coast, gets the nice dunk. And I thought to myself, wow, that low key, that moment for a second just reminded me of Miami Brown for a moment. And then the very next play after that dunk, he gets the defense's attention again and then makes an amazing pass to Patrick Beverley in the corner, who misses. And then I think, wow, that was a good look. Oh, he bricked it. And then like later, somebody else had a good look off of, just some nice ball movement, and then they bricked it. And it was just so many moments in this Lakers game that I was like, this team isn't, the team is bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say the team's not bad. The team is bad. But at the same time, this team is really just the wrong personnel. It's not that these NBA players are bad. Like, that's my point when it comes to the Lakers, I guess, is what this video is about to turn into. These players aren't bad players. Like, they just don't have the skill sets that the Lakers need. And yes, you can say, well, Hawk, tell me shooting is not a skill set. If like one of these players or two of these players on every team on this team wouldn't be that bad. But the fact that so many of them that can't shoot are all on the same team, that the team really doesn't have no space in. And I've been saying it for a while. I've been believing it for a while, but actually seeing it in like what I watched in the game and actually seeing it live, because the threes that these guys were taking weren't bad shots. Like, they were wide open shots. They just can't hit them because they're not 3-point shooters. And before you all go specifically talking about Russ, well, what is he out there for if he's not a 3-point shooter, if he can't shoot in a league that's obviously about scoring and shooting? There were still a lot of moments where Russ was actually still valuable on the court. I specifically remember the moment in the fourth quarter when the Lakers were trying to make that comeback. They were making a push. They were going on a run. Kawhi had scores on Russ in the post. It was Russ and Pat Bev doubling him in the post, and he still gets the bucket. Then the next 3 possessions, the Clippers try to get the ball to Kawhi, and Russ either stole the ball twice on a post entry pass, and then on the third one, Kawhi did eventually get the ball in the post, tries to drive by him, and then forces Kawhi to commit the turnover out of bounds. So, like, you can say I'm getting on my soapbox and trying to defend him, but my point here is Russ isn't a bad player. He's just not for this system at all. You can call this a stretch, but imagine if like De'Aaron Fox or Colin Sexton was on this team. Now, granted, you can make the argument that, well, they're a little more athletic. They'll be able to drive better than Russ because they're younger and stuff. Sure, but they neither of those guys are good shooters either. Like if you look at their percentages, they're actually very similar to Russ's. And no, it's not a direct comparison between those three guys. They all do things a little bit different. But my point between all of them is that none of them are great shooters. Let's be honest. And I think if either of those guys were on the Lakers, you'd still be in a similar situation. Just something to keep in mind when you look at box score sometime. And Russ might not be the best shooter on the box score, but I will say when I watched this game, he was impactful on defense at times, at least. But I will say this, man, they are wasting a year for LeBron. If they keep this roster how it is, they wasting a year because, and the reason I say is wasting because there was really a lot of times during this game where I was like, yo, it's not the exact same like LeBron when he was younger, but it really was still a lot of moments where I was like, dang, that athleticism is still there. The skill is obviously still there. And if he had a team that was like properly constructed for his skill set, aka shooters and people who can play defense, the team would probably be really, really good. I'm not how good, whatever, but the team would actually be really good as opposed to whatever this is. But all right, I'm out of here. We'll see how this format works because it's also now 1:10 in the morning. And I don't know what my energy levels was like for this video, or also it was just train of thought off of notes that I watched during the game. So let me know if you rock with this style. I just wanted to give it a shot to maybe get my immediate thoughts out there. I don't know. I'm just trying stuff. Y'all know me. Just trying new content. Peace.